So since I'm not here, I'm going to teach you guys how I tape an ankle. So everybody's different. You'll find other athletic trainers that have little things that they do differently. Here's how I found to tape an ankle. So the first part, you guys won't be doing this in class, but these are called heel and lace pads. You purchased them when you did your budget. So if you tear or open it up, it's two little pads with a little bit of Vaseline in them. Okay, I have my TAs make them, so they're already prepared. And what they do is they go over, see how this tendon sticks up right here? We don't want that blistered. So we're gonna put one right over here, and we're gonna put one back here on the Achilles. Okay, so this helps to prevent blisters. Like I said, you're not using these today. Then we're gonna use pre-wrap. Okay, the only purpose of pre-wrap is to prevent the tape from sticking to skin or hair. Luckily, my model is not very hairy, but there are other guys that tend to be like grizzly bears. Or somebody's allergic to the adhesive. So I like to start here at the top or the middle of the foot. Okay, you always want to start like in the middle of the arch here. You're going to come around, and then lightly, you are not pulling on the pre-wrap. You are lightly coming around the foot. I usually come around the ankle a little bit, or the heel, excuse me. Come around the heel and lace pad. Come around the heel and lace pad. And then notice how I'm not overlapping and I'm not pulling on the pre-wrap. Or I'm not overlapping by much. Okay? And we want to go until we start to see, excuse me, the calf kind of pudge out. So you can see it's really straight, and then his calf starts to pudge out a little bit or go out. So that's where we're going to stop. It's harder to see when people are kind of skinny or don't have very defined muscles. But another way is I do about a hand above the bone that sticks out. So either way, okay? Or if they're wearing a taller sock, figure like this is where his sock line is right now. So this is about where I'm going to end. We're creating a supportive sock. All right. So the first strip of any taping technique is called an anchor strip. So I'm going to take some tape. Okay, I'm going to take about, what, 6 to 8 inches. I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to come here at the very top where you stopped your pre-wrap. I'm going to place it flat on the back of his calf, and then just simply wrap it around. So I wrap that side around, I wrap this side around, and I'm going to tear it. Okay? Now, if you look around, you can't see any wrinkles. Wrinkles and bubbles mean blisters. Your athlete will not be happy with you if you do that. So since this is going to use a lot of force, we're going to do 2 anchors. And what this does, coming from the back, again, halfway overlapping, coming around. What this does is this gives us a place to start. Okay? So I'm not going to have you pause it because I don't know how to edit video. So pause. Time for him to be a star. There. This way now we can see the edges. All right, so we have our anchors here. Also, it's very important that your athlete is positioned correctly. His foot needs to be at a 90-degree angle as if he's standing on the ground. Okay? If they're like this, okay, it's going to bunch up in here, it's going to dig, they're not going to be happy. So this is probably the hardest part for your model, for your athlete, is to have them keeping their foot up like this. He's been taped numerous times, so he knows the deal. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our tape, come right across the bone that sticks out right here. There's a bone that sticks out right here. I'm going to come right across it, always on the inside of the foot. Big toe, this is the side we're starting on. Okay, I'm going to hold it up here. I'm going to pull it kind of tight, going down around the bottom of his foot. Okay, and just going right back up to the stirrup, or to the anchors on the other side. Okay, so this is called a stirrup, because if you've ever ridden a horse, you put your foot in a stirrup, and then that's what you put pressure on. Okay, so that's our first strip. It's called a stirrup. Then the next one is called a horseshoe. Only our horseshoes are a little weird because they're going to be on top of his foot rather than on the bottom. So I'm going to find that bone again. I'm going to go right below that bone, come around the back of his ankle. Again, remember, no bubbles. No bubbles. Come in back up front. You do not need to go all the way around the foot. Okay, so it's a U. It's not a circle, it's a U. So I'm gonna alternate these two strips 2 more times, halfway overlapping. Again, starting in the middle, halfway overlapping up. I'm gonna pull tight. My athlete needs to keep his foot back. Pull tight, coming around to the anchor. Then I'm gonna do another stirrup, or another horseshoe. Halfway overlapping, coming down, around, and tearing it. So now we've still got this space here in the middle. One more time. Now I'm gonna halfway overlap it below. So we've covered that initial strip all the way. Coming up, going to the anchor strip over here. And then I'm gonna halfway overlap it even further up. Okay, and we start here and work up for a couple reasons. Okay, if they have a little bit of swelling, this is going to provide a little bit more tension here to get that swelling out. Okay, so, and this also supports those ligaments that are right here. Now, here comes the hard part. These are called figure eights. What you're going to do is you're going to take out about 1.5 feet of tape. Okay, you're going to place it on the bottom of the foot in the middle of the arch, closer to the hand that has your roll. Okay, and how I see if you have it in the right spot on the arch is if you bring it around, your tape roll should be able to sit on their shin without wrinkling this. I've kind of done this a couple times, so I've got the positioning down pat. Okay, but you'll know that you're at the right spot on their arch if your tape roll can sit on their shin without any wrinkles. Okay, so I know I'm good. So I'm going to bring this part back. Now this is called a figure eight because we're going to make an 8. So I'm going to come around. I'm bringing this tape around the front. Okay, we're crossing here at the joint line. Okay, and then coming around the bottom, coming back up. Okay, then I'm taking my tape roll around, so now we've made a circle around his foot, and now we're coming around and we're making a circle around his lower leg. Okay, I'll do this with a different color tape so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so again, you're going to do this twice, and you're going to do it in the same exact spot. So the figure eights you do in the same spot. So I'm going to come around. I'm going to make sure I'm at the right angle, setting my tape. Okay. So also my athlete's gotten a little. There we go. It's hard because he's sitting here for 2 minutes doing this. All right. So I've got my good angle. I take this away. I come around the front of the ankle. Okay. Then I come around here. Now I've made that circle around the foot. Now I make that circle around the lower leg. And then again, making sure that there's no bubbles back here. Because this is where a lot of people get blisters, is back here where we put those heel and lace pads. It's back here on the Achilles and here in the front. Okay, so we've made an 8 and we've done that twice. So we did 2 anchors, we did 3 stirrups and horseshoes, and then we do 2 figure eights. Now we're going to do 2 heel locks on each side. Now, heel locks are the most difficult part of ankle taping. Okay, so I'm gonna have you take the camera again because we're gonna go on this side. Okay, so we're gonna come here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my tape, again about a foot or so out, and we're gonna grab the heel. Okay, if I grab his heel, my thumb, see the angle of my thumb? That's the angle we're gonna do for your heel lock. You can also take a lanyard, okay, hook it, because we're gonna lock the heel, so we're gonna hook it around the heel and come around, and this can give you your path that you're gonna go with your tape. Okay, what you want is it needs to be around the heel and it needs to cross here at the top. If you're like this, okay, that means you were too flat, okay, or too vertical. Okay, if you're too flat, it ends up coming, oops, I'll do this on the other side. If you're too flat, it starts coming up here and here, okay, or if you're too vertical, it starts coming up here. So you want to make it cross. You want to make it, it's like a teardrop around the heel, so it looks like this. Okay, so now that we've got our pattern, okay, so I'm taking this, I can look at his foot, kind of organize this to see how it works. Okay, I have to adjust a little bit to make sure I'm not getting any bubbles. I see how I need to be on his heel. Okay, I see the angles. So now I can take my lanyard away and bring in my tape and do the same thing. So I'm going to come, angle it here. So remember, initially I put my thumb, I held his heel, and I put my thumb there. So this is the angle my thumb is, or was in. So put it on the side of his heel, come around up, come around the bottom, coming up, making sure it's here at the joint, coming around with my roll hand now, coming around and up, okay, and I met here at the top. Okay, so I'm gonna do that twice, and I can do those one right over another. We want to make sure that this is really strong. So right over top of that one, okay, I can even kind of like pull his heel a little bit, okay, and then bring it up around and bring it up around. This will be the hardest strip to do to not get any wrinkles. This one you're gonna have to practice. So I just did 2 on this side. Now I'm gonna flip it and do 2 on this side. So same thing, angling it on the heel, okay, angling it on the heel, bringing it up to that joint line, bringing it up to that joint line. And I'll do this one in red again. So I've got heel coming around, and then I come over here, heel, and coming around. So you want to have 2 on each side. This is preventing their ankle from turning. So this is the really important part. Okay? So that's the hard strips of the ankle taping. Now, all we need to do is what we call Hollywooding it. So if we see we have areas of the pre-wrap up here, and luckily my athlete here is pretty skinny, but sometimes if they're not so skinny, it kind of like pudges off of here, especially because we've made this part really tight and this part wasn't so tight. So we need to even that pressure out so that he doesn't get blisters here. So all I'm gonna do is find the areas that are exposed. Okay, so we got some areas of exposure back here, and we got some areas of exposure up here. So I'm just gonna take my tape, again, flat around the back, and I'm just gonna pull it up front, tear it, and then I'm gonna halfway overlap to give it that support, halfway overlap, and just moving it. I should be doing that with this, my bad. So I'm just halfway overlapping it. So here's my first one that I just did. Here's my second one that I just did. Okay, you can kind of see that line in here, right? And then I just go all the way up to where we started, to that original anchor. So now it's smooth through here. It's smooth through here, and we don't have any wrinkles. And he now has a very colorful foot. Okay? That's how to tape an ankle.